pulling everything up, and I don't think it kicked in just yet. So the Facebook people are not with us yet. So anyway, just wanted to thank everybody who's been tuned in this year. Thank everybody that's been holding us down. We greatly appreciate it. Could not have done it. We are live on Facebook as of right this minute. Welcome, 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 all who just joined us on Facebook. This is the last show of the year. BlackWestchester.com presents the People Before Politics radio show every Sunday, 6 to 8 on InTheMixRadio.com. Shout out to the Mix
People
Radio
Before
Politics radio show
We've
every
been
Sunday, 6 to 8
4 years.
on InTheMixRadio.com. Definitely, if you want to have a radio show, shout out to the
come
People
down
Before
here
Politics
and
radio
put
show
together a show
every
that
Sunday,
lasts
6
for
to 8
4
on
years,
InTheMixRadio.com. Definitely, if you want to have a radio show, shout out to a great organization, a great outfit to put together a show. Greetings, Cicely Greaves, who just tuned in. Everybody bear with me. I know some of y'all are doing what y'all doing, your holiday shopping and all that good stuff. Got Dr. Bob in the picture right now. It is me.
Oh, okay.
It is me.
I didn't even realize
the AYE. And it is my man.
See, I have on a green vest again.
Oh yeah. You blending into the scenery. And it is my man. And it is my man, my brother from another mother, Dr. Robert Baskerville, PhD, a.k.a. Brooklyn Bob.
Yes, AJ. What up? Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Glad to tune in with y'all. Be here on the last show of the 2018.
Yes. This year has gone really fast, man. This has been like, for real. It's just like you next thing is like Black History Month, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, the November election, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Like, it's just like, it just goes so fast now. Like, I don't know if it's when you're getting older or just everything's getting.
Don't remind me, AJ, please.
It
was a pleasant show.
As I approach 53, in 5 weeks.
Yes.
Oh, shout out to my sister Nicole Woodson Burbick, who celebrates her birthday today.
Oh, shout out and happy birthday to you, Nicole.
Shout out to all the December birthdays. I just celebrated with my cousin Valerie Kent. She is in town from Virginia. We all got together last night for her birthday. She just hit her 50th birthday. I said, you're getting a little older when your younger cousin just hit 50. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's your younger cousin.
Yeah, we in a whole nother stage.
Your younger cousin celebrated 50, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, shout out to Valerie Kent, Jeff Gardner, my sister, of course, my brother-in-law, Boyd Burbick's birthday was this month. Last week, you heard me say that was my mother's birthday. She would have been 72. And all the people that celebrated birthday. I hope you all had a joyous holiday season, whatever it is you celebrate. For those who celebrated Hanukkah, for those who celebrated Christmas, Jesus is the reason for the season. For those who celebrate Kwanzaa, not sure what day it is, 26. Today is the 30th, so today would actually be the 4th day?
Brother, you don't get me to admit the limitations of my own knowledge.
So anybody tell me today's the 4th or the 5th day of Kwanzaa?
Yes.
And somebody typed in what that is, and I will say what it is. But to all those who celebrated Kwanzaa, see everybody's kicked in. The Honorable Oscar Davis Jr. The head
Brother
president,
Davis.
Yes, the Mount Vernon Public Library trustee president is in the place to be. Wilfred Dennis, what's going on, sir? Not sure, but I think you had a birthday recently. If you did, happy birthday. Uncle Frank, of course. He said Happy New Year's to us.
Frank, what up, Frank? Happy New Year, man.
Sharon Salam, mother of Yusef Salam, one of the Central Park Five,
right.
is
It's an honor.
Is listening. She's been on the show a few times. Welcome,
Yes.
welcome.
Welcome.
Donna Nolan. Hi, everyone. Wishing everybody a happy and healthy new year.
Hey, Donna. Same to you. Happy New
Caitlin
Year
Gleason, definitely always holding us down.
all the time.
Another Mount Vernon Public Library trustee, but she is so much
Pillar
more.
of the community.
So much
Absolutely.
more than that. She's always holding it down, whether she has a title or no title. She
Surely.
is somebody who, is definitely a stakeholder in the community, definitely a strong supporter of both Black Westchester and the People Before Politics movement. So shout out to her. William Smith, Pitt Brothers.
Okay. My man Bill.
Yes.
Bill, what's up, Bill?
No, not Bill.
No?
William Smith.
Yeah.
The one that was the rapper. No, that's not his name. No, never mind. William Smith. What's going on, sir? I'm mixing up my metaphors, my peoples, and my whole nine. But yes, William Smith. Yes, I know who I'm talking about, man. Y'all get me.
All right, don't listen. You the authority here, brother.
No.
Peace to brother Arthur.
Yeah, I just saw that.
On the check-in.
Peace. Shelly Lewis said straight from Brooklyn, Mount Vernon resident now. Happy New Year's. Pee Wee Mel. That's what I was correct. Shout
Oh,
out
that's
to
Mel.
Pee Wee
That's
Mel.
my man. Yo, Mel, I'm
William
sorry,
Smith.
Mel.
That's the
Yo,
government.
Mel.
He had me. He had
Mel
me.
like, yo, Bob, you need to.
He had me confused. I thought when I
yeah.
said the name, he was gonna say, "Yo, Pee Wee Mel." I was
Yo,
like,
Mel, what up, Mel?
So what's up, my brother? Because that's not what shows up as a
Yeah,
Facebook
yeah,
name. So I was like,
Yeah. Mel like, yo, Brooke, you need to.
Yeah. I mean, and they go way
check
back.
the
You know what I'm
record,
saying?
man.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed right now.
Monty Whitaker from Prince George County, Maryland, tuned in. Alicia Taylor, I think you're in Georgia now. Shout out to you and my homeboy Todd from Strong Island, from Central Long Island. I think they live somewhere in the Atlanta, Georgia region right now. Omi Medina Sr. What's up, Omi? What's going on? I'm trying to make sure I get everybody else they tuned in and get everybody shout outs and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah, like I said, this is the last show of the year. For everybody, this is August. The beginning of August was the 4-year anniversary of the show here. And July was the 4-year anniversary of the website, and August was also the 1-year anniversary of the newspaper itself. So, we got a bunch of things coming up. 2019 is going to be a big year for the movement. January 27th this is episode 196.
Mm-hmm.
January 27th will be the 200th episode of the People Before Politics radio show. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna figure out what we're gonna do over the next, week to 10 days. Next 2 weeks, we're gonna figure out. Try to have a good celebration. The 100th episode, we had a big celebration. We had everybody who was ever a host or ever part of the show come through. Some of our supporters. We had we had a large portion of the Foursquare Peace Project here.
Mm-hmm.
Like that whole back wall was just full. We had a big celebration. It was beautiful. We had T-shirts and everything and the whole nine, and sponsors and the whole nine. So we're gonna figure out. I'm gonna be working on that in the next week or so. What we're gonna do to celebrate our 200th episode, which will be January 27th, and then again in July will be the 5-year anniversary of the website. So we definitely gonna have something big, some kind of fundraiser, big to-do party somewhere. Maybe we'll have 5 events or something. We just really gonna do it big, like something in Yonkers, something in Greenburgh, something throughout Westchester. We're gonna figure that out. It'll also be August will be the 5-year anniversary of this show. So we got a lot to celebrate, and the 2-year anniversary of the newspaper. So we got a lot to celebrate in 2019. We trying to take it there, take it. We appreciate everybody that's holding us down. Dr. Bob has definitely been holding it down.
I try, AJ.
For bringing like a lot more. He's been taking, like, basically I've been wearing all the hats.
Right.
A lot of the time. Like I'm your co-owner, I'm your editor-in-chief, I'm your chief cook and bottle washer, I'm the producer of the show.
That's what you are.
the
Chief
host.
cook and bottle washer.
Yeah, I'm the main writer, the main editor. I cover the events. I'm the photographer. I'm the graphic artist. I'm the social media department. So we're gonna be delegating a lot more authority. A lot more in 2019.
Absolutely.
So we're putting a lot of things in place. There's a lot of things we're doing behind the scenes right now to bring forth a better experience and to take what we're doing to the next level. I think like this show, just for this show alone, the body of work of people that we've had on this show, the list is just crazy. I don't think no other show, no other media outlet like has had the bulk of people that we've had. Like we've had Senator Cousins on at least 2-3 times, and now she's the head person in the Senate right now. One of no longer 3 men in the room, it's 2 men and a woman, and 3 persons in the room, as she puts it, 3 individuals in the room now.
Right.
She's up there with the governor and Speaker Hastings, Carl Hastings. Those are the 3 people that make the decisions basically in New York State. Like, they come together, the 3 people in the room.
Right. That does give me an opportunity to give.
Shelley Lewis said, "Please invite me." Okay. Tracy Kate said, "What's going on?" Sorry. Donna Nolan
Trace,
said,
how are you today,
would love
Tracy?
to come on before our basketball tournament. Donna, I have been very. I keep forgetting. Please tell me when the tournament is again, and let's schedule you. Let's get you scheduled in. Right in the beginning of the year, just before. So let me know the date. Let's make that happen because we definitely want to do that. Go ahead, Bob. I am so sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was saying it was a nice opportunity to extend congrats to both you, Damon, and the entire Black Westchester team for being mentioned in the New York Times article this past week.
Yeah, article on Senator Andrew Stewart Cousins. Towards the end of the article, in the New York Times article this week, they mentioned, her talking about trying to get to this point for a long time, and this is something that she's wanted to do, and that, she expressed it on our show, on this very show. So they mentioned us in the radio show, which was a good look. I mean, we've been quoted by Low HUD and FiOS and News 12 several times. We've been quoted by the New York Post at least twice. ABC News actually had me on talking about the rat infestation in Mount Vernon, and actually had me on camera. But this is like the first time we actually had a mention in the New York Times. So that was definitely a good, for lack of another, definitely boost to the ego, or a good look for the brand. So that was good. Coach Nicodemo in Yonkers, Anthony Nicodemo's on the check-in. He's been on the show.
Yes, welcome to Coach Nicodemo.
February the 23rd, Lincoln High School, 9 a.m. So Donna, give me 2 dates somewhere. That's 2 Sundays. Come up that you and your sons or whoever will be available within the next day or 2. The end of January or the beginning of February. Just look on the calendar and pick 2 dates. Right now, it's an empty slate right now. So let me know your availability. Give me 2 dates: the end of January or the beginning of February. That y'all think that y'all will be able to, and then I'll get back to you and we'll try to get you scheduled in within the next week.
Okay.
So that'll be David Duarte. What's going on?
Brother Duarte?
Brother of Mount Vernon City Councilwoman Janice Duarte.
Yes.
The main force behind her campaign, and he really held her down. Carmen Gomez Goldberg. Shout out to her in Yonkers, the charter school.
Triple G.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
No,
that's
CGG.
Yeah, my brain is moving a little slow today.
Right. But she's in the charter school. She ran for she was on the debate when we had all the candidates running for Ken Jenkins' former county legislator seat that then Christopher Johnson won.
Right.
She was one of the 4 or 5 candidates. So she's been on the show. But yeah, let's say the body of work of the people that we had on the show, from the politicians like Senator Stewart Cousins, the George Latimer as both county legislator and as state senator, Tish James, the now new, who will be sworn in as the New York State Attorney General. We've had the future Attorney General here. Alessandria Biaggi, who took
Senator
Shelley. She took who? Oh no, she took.
She displaced Senator Jeff Klein, didn't
she? Yeah, I'm sorry. She was the Klein Slayer.
Yes.
that she cut the neck off the IDC snake. That was her direct quote. I cut the head off the the Independent Democratic, I guess, what was the C for?
Committee, probably.
Committee, yeah. That rogue group of Democrats that was going with the Republicans, and why it took till now for Senator Cousins to actually be the position she has now, because they didn't have the majority because they were teaming up with the Republicans. So they had the majority in numbers, they still didn't have the majority. And then they had this little going back and forth thing. Anthony Old School Mitchell, good evening, people before politics. Are you still in town, brother?
Yeah, and because
you and Don Starchild.
I heard something about we getting together, holidays.
Y'all both in town, and I'm seeing pictures all over Donnie. I'm seeing him all down at Rockefeller Center and Times Square, and I get to the Dole Center the other week, and they say, "Oh, you just missed Mitch. I didn't even know he was in town." So. Let me know if you're in town, brother. We definitely got to link up. Brother Ken Bright.
Brother Bright
is on
the check-in.
Michelle Breeze Johnson is on. John R. Jones.
John Jones, what's up, John?
Tuned in. AO Joints is tuned in. What's going on?
AO, happy holidays to you, brother.
So we had the politicians, the head politicians in here. We've had people like Brother Hafiz Muhammad, who is the head of Mosque Number 7 in Harlem, but is now Farrakhan's East Coast representative.
Mm-hmm.
We've had people like that on the show. You know what I'm saying? We had people like Captain Dennis, the head of the Peacekeepers, and one of the trainers of the FOI on the show. We've had legendary people like the legendary radio show host Bob Law on. You know what I'm saying? Like legendary people. Like, that conversation was like, such a wealth of information. He's talking about the death of black radio. You know what I'm saying? Black talk radio. It was him and Gary Bird, and and he reiterated the importance of this show, and that he was happy what we were doing because it continues on that tradition of black talk radio. Mm-hmm. So we've had people like that. Not in town this year. We'll be in town in the new year. Okay, brother. Stanley Ridley.
Welcome, Brother Ridley.
Chris Ridley's father.
Yes.
Definitely said good evening. Definitely, but we had people like that on the show. We've had entertainers, local entertainers like Miss Irene Renee, definitely talented songstress, and Angela Johnson, originally from Greenberg. Russell Johnson, her and her husband Russell Johnson and Damon go way back. We've had Chris Latt from the African American College Alliance shirts, all those black college sweatshirts that people used to wear in hip hop in the 90s. You saw them Wu-Tang and on Queen Latifah. Anybody, you saw it on everybody. You know what I'm saying? He's done that, and he's been a big wig and a big heavy hitter in the music industry. We've had him on the show. We've had a lot of the local politicians. We've had some of the activists in the community. We've had a wealth of people on this show. Like, one of my favorite shows that showed you the importance of Black Westchester was when we had Paul Finer, the Greenberg town supervisor, which is the equivalence of a mayor in the city. In the town, it's a town supervisor. We had Paul Finer. We had Dr. Julio Cavallo, the head of the Westchester Independence Party. And in between them, we had Yusef Salam, the Central Park Five. Nowhere in those three individuals would not collectively be in the room anywhere else. And when he told his story of what he went through, both Paul Finer and Doc Cavallo, they heard the story before. Mm-hmm. But to see him and to sit next to him and him tell it, you could tell it had a profound effect on both of them. To the point, Paul Finer was starting to enact legislation so that same thing don't happen in Greenberg. Like he was trying to put some legislation together for his municipality. But you wouldn't have got no people like that nowhere else. Like we've had a combination of people, and that's just one great example. I don't know how to pronounce your name. The Queen V. Eaton. I'm sure. I'm hoping I pronounced. Says the Peekskill NAACP says Happy New Year and keep up the good work. Thank you very much. John Jones says Happy New Year. AJ and Bob.
Yes, John.
And we have Mount Vernon Black Westchester Mount Vernon correspondent Atif Khalil, Atif K. Coleman on the check-in, tuned in. Definitely, and everybody should go to blackwestchester.com. He put out a very informative article. A lot of his articles are very, very informative, but this was about the state controller's audit of the Mount Vernon City School District. Very
yes,
good
I read
read. And yeah, to give you, what did you think about that?
Hey, I thought it was some much needed coverage of one of the most important agencies in the Mount Vernon city government, broadly defined. As we all know, a considerable number of tax dollars is spent on K through 12 education in Mount Vernon and elsewhere. And one of the concerns that was raised initially when the city was considering the bond was financial controls. When we had Superintendent, help me out, JD, Superintendent.
The Mount Vernon Superintendent?
Yes.
Kenneth Hamilton. He's been on the show twice.
When Superintendent Hamilton was on the show, one of the issues that we raised with him was our concern about sufficient internal safeguards for the Board of Education's budget. And unfortunately, Atif's review of the controller's audit of the budgetary process in Mount Vernon suggests that there are a lot of controls that essentially have been done away with. Quite a lot of money that was allocated without proper reviews. And to be honest with you,
I just want to add real quick, and I know everybody has their own perspective of things, but I do want to say though on this very show, and in at least one or two letters to the editors and quotes that he's given me, school board trustee, used to be the school board president, Leslie Zamore, warned of these particular things, and a lot of people were giving him grief about it and said he was making up some stuff, and obviously he was onto something according to the audit. Some of the things that he said that was looked upon as him just trying to as their version of fake news. People were just saying he was making up stuff and he was trying to do all these different things. Obviously some of this stuff was actually true because the state controller spells it all out, and I just wanted to say that.
And I want to say this.
You heard him say it here on this show.
Right.
That's all.
And this is not the first instance. The state controller in the past has conducted a number of audits of Mount Vernon's governmental operation, and in each instance, it has been found to come up short. So, really, I think it deserves fuller, more comprehensive discussion. Although I found the piece to be very informative, it raised for me at least as many questions as it answered. I know Atif alluded in his piece to previous incidents where trustees, including Leslie Zamore, raised questions about the internal financial safeguards, and apparently somehow the other those were pushed to the side. And we've had yet another instance of abuse or, disregard, if not outright abuse, of a lot of the financial controls that are in place in the city for the well-being of city residents to make sure that our tax dollars are properly expended.
And the superintendent, he did what I call the Chitlin circuit. That's what I named it. And Brenda helped him schedule the passing of the bond, the current bond. They actually went and had all these little town hall forums all over in different churches and community to explain this, because a lot of residents were concerned about these particular things that had happened with previous bonds and money missing and things not being done and what they were going to do, and to get people to vote on the bond. They did all of this and said that there was, and we asked a lot of these questions, and I went to several of them. I know Reverend Mulrain had one at his church, and I went to a couple of different ones, and I saw the residents of Mount Vernon ask these questions like, there's still unaccounted millions, according to the residents, because I was out of town for that 10, 12 years before 2014, from previous bonds that still they can't account for. So it's like, how you going to make sure that that doesn't happen this time? And they went through this whole thing. You could actually, I'll find the show and y'all can listen to it for themselves.
My view is this, is that if any laws have been broken, someone needs to be held responsible.
And another person I wanted to mention, because I'm not sure if it was in the article or not. So one of the things that residents and some of the people, insiders from the school were telling me that the assistant superintendent, Ken Silver, he's like the superintendent of business, right? That he got rid of some of what Leslie Zamora says are a few of the people that were to assure that these things didn't happen. And Ken Silver allegedly fired the architect and I think maybe one other person. And, that was like one of those things, like a city council and the mayor just went back and forth and nobody knew what to believe. But obviously there was something to what was being said, because you see this report that was done. Shout to Patricia DeLuca. I just want to shout her out. Again, I always shout her out. She was one of my editors. She was one of the head editors at King Magazine and some of the other Harris publishing publications. Shout to Daytwan Thomas, who's the head of King Magazine. I just got to say, I'm sorry, Patricia. I just seen on Jill Marie Jones' Instagram page, she posted her cover of King. She was the sister from the TV show with the four sisters with Dinah Ross' daughter.
Right. Man.
The dark skin one. They have her in a bikini on the cover of King. That was one of my favorite covers, and one of my first issues I actually had a story in. So I have that issue somewhere, but I just seen that she posted it. One of her friends gave her the picture, and she posted it because she said she getting back in shape. She's trying to get back into the shape
woman
of that
who
picture.
Took the actress.
The actress, she's on the cover in a bikini
right.
of King. So I just wanted to say, because I just seen that this week, and I just seen her name, and I just wanted to shout out King for being the dope adult hip hop magazine that it was. Because it combined hip hop and all those other things, and it was definitely, it had its own thing. I had fun working with them, but go ahead. It's easy to go there when you see, I just had to celebrate them real quick. So all you old hip hop heads know what I'm talking about. So anyway, shout to Canute Brown Morgan, a Mount Vernon resident who lives somewhere in Georgia now. I see he's on the check-in. I'm getting various messages, so hold on. I'm just trying to look at them all. Okay. So anyway, shout out to everybody, but I forgot where we were now. Damon K. Jones is on the check-in. Black by popular demand. As you see, this is like a freestyle show. This is a year in review show. We don't really have any guests. We're just talking about a lot of things that we did. And I wanted to read a couple of comments also that I hadn't gotten to. So Cynthia Greaves said, best wishes to all the Black Westchester hosts, guests, etc. It will be good. It will be a good year. Continue to hold all in capital letters, all accountable. It will be a good year to come. Thank you, Cicely. We definitely trying to take it to the next level of what we do. Tracy K said, Happy New Year's, AJ and Bob. Donna, I got your message. And yes, let's go with January. Wait. What day is January 20th? Nope, January 27th is the 200th episode show. So we're not going to do it then. Can you give me another date in February? Either the week before January 27th or the week after February 3rd, because February 3rd is the Super Bowl. And I'm not sure if we're going to do, that's my birthday weekend and it's always the Super Bowl. So we definitely, I don't even know if we're going to do a show that day. I might be celebrating, we might be off somewhere having a Super Bowl party or something. So And the 27th is our 200th episode show. So either the week before the 27th or the week after the 3rd. Let me know what your availability. That's me going back and forth with Donna Nolan. She let me know her availability, like I said, so we can get her on and they can talk about their event that's coming up. As I said, and as I was saying, so go ahead.
Yeah, before we go forward, I have to confess, everyone, I was not fully prepared to discuss the significance of today's day in Kwanzaa, and a couple of our listeners provided us more detailed information about what today's...
The 5th day.
Yes, and so why don't you go ahead and read it.
So I was going to get to that with that.
I'm sorry about it. I'm sorry about that.
That was one of the... Oh, Dagmar Hernandez. Lorraine always says your name, so if I messed it up, I apologize. Shout out to Lorraine Lopez. She's off chilling for the holiday. She'll be back next week.
Absolutely,
but,
Lorraine.
For Kwanzaa, today, for those celebrating Kwanzaa, today is the 5th day. Today is NIA. I think that's how it's pronounced, N-I-A. So I'm hoping it's pronounced NIA, which focuses on purpose building, developing and defending the community as you do at Black Westchester. Hey, thank you for that. I got the opportunity to celebrate with Dr. How do you pronounce that?
Adelaide.
I want to make sure. Adelaide Stevens, Regents. What's that?
Sanford. One? She's the Regents Emeritus.
Okay.
For New York State.
And Dr. Sheila Evans.
Tranum?
Tranum, yeah. I mess up everybody's name, so that's why I got Bob in there. So that's what today is the 5th day of Kwanzaa. So for all of those who celebrate Kwanzaa, happy Kwanzaa. And I hope Nia is the way that's pronounced, because just because that's how it looks, that doesn't mean it's pronounced that way. So anyway, shout to Denise Cardozo Branch. Shout to Kevin Holt.
Kev, what up, Kev? Denise, how are you?
And I forgot to shout out Mike last week. Mike was checking us out last week.
Okay.
Big Mike. Yeah, we did, because we mentioned it. Cicely said, yes, I pronounced it correctly. Thank you, Cicely. See, thank you. See, this is, I love this. I love that we are able to interact with the people. I love this social media forum, and especially when we have people on here, they can ask the questions, and I can answer. I can ask the people their questions, and they can get answers to their questions in real time. Whether it's elected official or a celebrity or local politician. Local activist or whatever. It's a beautiful thing. So, shout out again to Damon K. Jones, chilling.
DK, what up?
I don't know if he's calling today, but I see he shared everything. Your birthday is Super Bowl weekend, too. That's a beautiful thing. So our birthdays are around the same time, Donna. So yes, January 20th. So let's lock that in. January 20th will be the day that you come on and bring your sons in. Let's talk offline this week. So we talk about how many people you bring in and all that kind of stuff. So, but take that date, January 20th, and let's touch base after Tuesday. So, I'm sure Monday and Tuesday everybody's doing everything. I don't know what I'm doing. So, yes. So, we got one show half scheduled. So, for the new year, that's a beautiful thing. As always, we cover an array of topics. As our slogan says, real talk for the community, since 2014. There's topics that you would like to see us talk about in the new year. We want to hear from you, the listeners. What is the email address for the radio show? peoplebeforepoliticsradio@gmail.com. I believe that's it. Bob's looking at me like, what, you're asking me?
Everyone,
he's like, he's looking at me like, why are you asking me? I have everything on my phone. Here it goes. So it's yes, good idea. It's People Before Politics Radio, all together. People Before Politics Radio @gmail.com. So yeah, if you want to see us discuss certain topics, guests that you would like to see us have on in the new year, anything like that, hit us at peoplebeforepoliticsradio@gmail.com. So, we are definitely talking about the topics that matter to all of you. Paul P. Nice Bryant just joined in. Shout out to him. Yes. I'm waiting for another brother to come. This is the time when it's good to have Damon here and have Lorraine here, and we have these various conversations. I just been in relax mode all week, so I'm just y'all have to excuse me. I think Brandon said he's on his way though, because I just got a text from him. I did get a text from him. Looking at messages. Shout out to my homie Rodney Norman, Central Islip, live in I think the Kansas City area, or I think he moved to North Carolina now. Can't keep up with people. So I'm being told that there was a slashing at the Fulton Avenue McDonald's. I don't know anything about that. Anybody who does know, Latif, if you know anybody who knows, send us the information. And Latif, if you're still listening, do us a favor. I want you to call in 718-705-4959 and briefly discuss the article that you wrote. And you can give more details since you are the writer and you did the research and stuff. Call in and share that. Shout to Tahira Dupree Chase, Dr. Chase.
Dr. Chase?
Yes, Greenberg Superintendent.
Yes.
She's going to check in. Shout to Mary Richardson, who put up a nice little, she put up one of them little cartoon characters, a picture of Charlie Brown with the tree. And then she says, it just needs a little love. The little tree he had that was bending over. Do you remember just Charlie Brown Christmas?
Of course, AJ.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah.
AJ, what you trying to say, man?
You look like you know what I was talking about. Did you guys cover the man kicked out of his hotel for speaking to his mother on the phone in the lobby? Yeah,
so we didn't discuss it yet.
That's a question from A.O. Joyce.
We didn't discuss it yet, A.O. I'm not sure if everyone is aware of what A.O. is alluding to, but this week marked another in a series of reports of people being profiled while being black, just living alive and being black. And
that's the guy who was okay. So I did get a news alert on that. From the little bit that I know, African American gentleman who was staying in. I'm not sure what the hotel is and what the city was at the top of my head, but basically, I guess he had checked in, and he got a call from I don't know who it was. So he stepped off to the side to take this personal call. At which point, leave that open. At which point, the security walked up to him, and I think asked him to leave the lobby. He explained that he was a resident. I mean, that he was he had a room there, I guess.
The DoubleTree.
The DoubleTree, and then he insisted that the manager call the police. So even after explaining to the manager of the hotel that he was a guest, the manager replied something like, well, the security wouldn't have had me call the police if you hadn't done anything wrong. So in other words, he got removed from the hotel, did not get refunded his money. And that's as much as the story that I know. In Oregon, he was calling his mother. Yes, that's what I wanted. Thank you, Cicely. He was on the phone. His mother called him. He took a call from his mother. So this guy was in a black dude. He was in a DoubleTree in Oregon. He checked in. His mom called him. He's like, hold on, let me step to the side, take this call. Security rushed him and was like, yo, you got to leave. And he was like, yo, I'm a guest. And he had the manager call the police. And he was removed. The police removed him from the hotel. and he is fighting it. And I don't know if there's a lawsuit yet or whatever, but he's fighting it. They're denying the claim. They're
well,
go ahead.
Okay, well, from the last news report that I read, and I must confess I have not followed it closely, is that the two hotel employees were placed on leave pending a full investigation of the incident. Irrespective of what kind of sanction they suffer, I'm sure everyone's in agreement that this kind of behavior is unacceptable. It's unnecessarily ratcheting up racial tension here in the United States when persons of color cannot engage in the seemingly ordinary activities that every other American citizen engages in without having a net of suspicion cast about them and being referred to the police for talking on one's telephone. It's just shameful.
So CNN, December 29th is the story. The story says hotel employee who asked black guests to leave fired. 2 employees seen in the video for that story asking a black guest to leave a Portland, Oregon hotel after he took a phone call in the lobby have been let go, the facility said Saturday on Twitter. The incident took place December 22nd at the Doubletree Hilton Hotel in Portland. Jermaine Massey was in the hotel when a security guard informed him that police were on their way to escort him off the property. Massey accused the guard of harassing him, and a statement provided to CNN by his attorneys characterizing the incident as calling his mother while black. We have terminated the employment of the 2 men involved in the mistreatment of Mr. Massey, the hotel tweeted. Their actions were inconsistent with our standard and values. We reiterate our sincere apology for what he endured, and we'll work with diversity experts to ensure this never happens again. Stopping right there, this shit should never have happened, period. You should not have to take a diversity. You should not have to, work with diversity experts in 2018 so that a black man who's a guest in your hotel takes a phone call in the lobby and is escorted out by the police and harassed by security. You should not have to take diversity. Shouldn't have to meet with diversity. You should not be working with the public. This should never happen, period.
I agree.
Period.
It's in it. Like, what was the guy doing?
I'm gonna finish. Just on the phone. That's it. The move comes a day after the hotel apologized to him. On Friday, it placed the employee on leave during an investigation and said it would take the appropriate measures to ensure that it does not happen again. We have a zero tolerance on discrimination of any kind. Obviously not.
No. Stop. But that's not fair, though, AJ.
What?
I don't understand why you just said that. Look.
No.
You finished, but we need to come back to something.
Okay, yeah. I'm not saying that they don't have a tolerance. They don't have a zero tolerance. Obviously, they're handling it.
Okay.
I'm saying though that there shouldn't be people working as security guards in hotels. In 2018, we have these kind of things going on. That is my point. So in a series of Instagram videos by Massey obtained by CNN, he is heard asking the guard, but why? But I'm staying here. Security said, not anymore. And obviously he has videos and he shared it with CNN. Massey then told the hotel desk staffer he was taking a personal call in the lobby when the guard began to question why was he there. At one point in the video, he shows 2 men the key card envelope with the room number and date written on it. Hotel staff contacted the Portland Police Bureau and asked an officer to speak with Massey after employees asked him to leave the property, according to a police statement. The officer then escorted Massey back to his room to collect his belongings and offered him assistance to a different hotel, but he declined, the police said. Massey's attorneys told CNN that hotel staff demanded he be arrested for trespassing if he did not leave the property at that time. Then it shows the videos and stuff that it was staying. In addition to reaching out to the hotel, CNN saw a comment from the two employees shown in Massey's Instagram video. Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler on Friday condemned the incident. It's deeply troubling to hear Mr. Massey's experience with discrimination. He tweeted, "No one should be treated this way. I agree, and I hope it serves as a catalyst for necessary change that addresses systematic nature of discrimination on all forms." The DoubleTree General Manager Paul Perletta, I'm sure I mispronounced that, called the incident unfortunate and said the hotel tried to contact Massey. "We are sorry for this matter, blah, 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 blah." They said their apology, and I think that's the end of the article. Just let's see if there was any update. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Through his attorneys, Massey asked the Portland DoubleTree to explain why they considered him a threat to hotel security and why security even questioned him in the first place. Now, I just want to
question: Did the security are they exploited in this too? I know you got Mr. Massey here. Do they have the names of the security guards? Because they need to really.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. They only have the gentleman, and the mayor said his name. The hotel basically just tweeted under the hotel name.
Or disclose information. Oh, very interesting. Very interesting.
Well, DoubleTree's first response was insensitive. I can't remember what it was, but I agree with AO. It was insensitive until they were pressured by the national news, because their first statement was something along the lines, and I paraphrase because I'm not reading it directly from the thing, something like, the security would not have asked us to call the police if you weren't doing anything. That's what their response was. Something along those lines. And I think as the manager, as the manager, the security worked for you. You should have been dictating that situation. Brother Damon, did you hear this last part of the show that we were talking about? The guy who got kicked out the hotel for talking to his mom? Oh, hold on, I'm not.
Hold on, D.
We're not hearing you. Let's see if it's on our end. Nope. You got to turn your mic on. I got you on over here. Still not hearing you. Not hearing you. I don't know why. You are up.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go. That was something on your end. Yes, you just hit a button. Yeah. So did you hear what we were just talking about? Are you familiar with that story? That's what we're discussing.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Yeah. He was on the phone in the lobby, and the security guards came.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. I mean, this is America. I mean,
and to be clear, they weren't trying. They said, "Well, help you go to another." They weren't even trying to refund him his money. Not that he should have ever been kicked out, but they were kicking him out and keeping his money. That was the other part that got me. They were kicking him out for no reason, but they weren't refunding him his money.
Yeah, but not only the security guards should be fired, the manager should be fired.
And I said that because, like AO said, that their original comments were very insensitive, and I think that only thing anything was done because the national media made a big deal of it. And had he not had all this on video and put this all over Twitter and everything, they might never have said the things they're saying now.
Listen, man, the cell phone is part of the black man's survival guide.
Yeah,
right?
The camera phone. Yeah.
Exactly, it's part of the black man's survival guide, because you have to walk around with the cell phone on the ready. It's unfortunate, but this is what we have to do as black people, in 2018 and go into 2019 to protect ourselves, because we're proven guilty because of the color of our skin. So, these are the things that we have to do. So, I mean, but the problem is this, where's all the great organizations talking about boycotting Marriott?
Right, because I didn't see no statement, and I haven't read all the news, so their local NAACP might be doing something, but I have not seen that yet. Where are the organizations? I agree with you.
Right. So, we still gotta, but that's our fault. At the end of the day, man, we still don't create institutions with all the spending, with the spending power that we have as black people. We still think the white man's ice is colder and his beds sleep better. So until we start addressing this through economic terms, we're going to continue to hear these stories.
So Cicely Greaves was saying, she said we have to pay attention to these subtle references. She said, I got so many monitors in front of me, hold on. She said what was disturbing to her, if you watch the interview, what was troubling to her was that the guy's attorney referred to him as that guy. So why were you addressing your client in that manner? I haven't seen the video, so I'm just.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I can't speak on it because I didn't see it. Michael Garrett's tuned in. The comment under all those articles show the bubble white American continues to live under. That's what A.O. Joint said. And Michael Garrett said, Damon, say it again. So.
No, I'm not going to repeat it.
No, but it's the same thing. When somebody say, yo, I don't think they heard you say it again. Like he was saying it like, yo.
Confirm it.
Like, yeah. Nah,
yeah.
I'm just, it's crazy. Yo. That's crazy. That Bob.
I mean, I'm almost speechless. I don't even really know what to say. All I can say is that this type of behavior is absolutely despicable. And Damon is absolutely right. There is far more that black people can do to mount some sort of opposition to this type of treatment. The consumer boycotts have been a long, used, respected form of protest, but hey,
people all over the country should boycott all DoubleTree. Like they're national organ, they're national. They didn't just boycott that one. They should boycott DoubleTree.
Well, ain't DoubleTree owned by the Marriott?
Hilton. It said the DoubleTree Hilton.
Oh, it's the Hilton.
Yeah, it was the DoubleTree Hilton Hotel in Portland.
All right. So, here's the thing, right? So the Black, Latino, Asian Political Caucus in February, right? It's being held
in New York State Association.
In New York State, it's being held at the Hilton.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be prudent.
It would be a statement if they remove.
Right. It would be prudent of the Black, Latino, and Asian caucus, right, to move their venue to another hotel. But guess what? They're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. So that's why there's no real change.
Shout out to D. Wilson and Damon. I don't know if you see the gentleman sitting in the room with us. This is my partner, Damon Jones. This is our newest addition, Brandon Parks. He lives in Peekskill. This is a new addition to the Black Westchester family.
Hey, what's up, Brandon?
He was here last week. I don't know if you were in and out last week. Vacuuming and putting up shelves while the show was going on. So I don't know if you saw him when he made his first appearance last week.
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah. That's what's up.
Appreciate it.
So he never met you yet. So he's the only one. He met Bob and Lorraine last week.
Just don't believe what you hear about me.
Never.
I mean, some people like to believe what they hear.
I like to believe what I see, brother.
There you go.
That's a fact.
And again, I always, like I say with Latif, I always compliment young brothers. I think he said he's 25, Damon. Young brothers that want to get involved. Because I wasn't thinking about that at that age. I'm going to be honest.
No, I wasn't.
I was in the music business. I was doing music stuff. I wasn't thinking about no political, nothing, no activism, nothing. I was trying to make that paper.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I was doing at 25. You know what I'm saying? So, and various other things.
Gotta be honest.
So anytime I see young brothers who are trying to get involved, I definitely compliment them. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all are the future. we the 50-50 club. So like, you know what I'm saying? It's like we not gonna be doing this forever. Like, you know what I'm saying? You, Atif, and cats like that, y'all are the future of whatever form this takes in the future. You know what I'm saying? So y'all are the future. Michael Garrett said, as long as Black America as a whole does not put forth the effort to stop the injustices done to us, we will continue to pay the price. Shout out to Charlie Khalil in Yonkers. So Damon, what have you been up to since last week? What you been up to? What news? What headlines have struck you going on in the news lately?
Well, I mean, it's two things, man. I post something on my Facebook page where I asked the question, does black officers receive the same treatment as white officers from law enforcement unions? Even though that we pay the same dues, but when it comes to issues of civil rights violations, retaliation, racism, and discrimination, and if it involves another union member, the union tends to take the side of the one that has been accused of the racist statements. And I say that from personal experience, with my union, and even dealing with questioning with my wife's union, with all the nonsense, with the garbage man Joe Spezio, and the purpose retaliation against my wife because of the words that were in Black Westchester, or my criticism of the alleged deputy police commissioner. So when we see this, and then there's other incidents throughout the country that have been reported that black officers have been getting the shaft by their unions, and sometimes even there's a black union president. So I think the 2019 will be a national conversation of why blacks should even pay dues to unions. Why should we pay our dues to a union that doesn't represent our interests? You know, it's no taxation without representation. So if I'm going to pay union dues and I have these type of issues, and I don't get no help, so why should I pay union dues? So I think that should be a national conversation. I've been talking to Sonia Wiggins-Pruitt, which she'll be on the show soon.
Yeah, I was going to say, when are we going to get her on the show?
Yeah, we're going to get her on the show. It fell apart, but she's ready to come. She's ready to come on the show. You know, I've been talking to other people in law enforcement, but Sonia set it off this year when she sent out. She's the chairman of the National Black Police Association. I've known Sonia for over 15 years, and we was on the board together of the National Black Police Association. Am I still there?
You're here. Yeah, you are. I was checking to make sure I had the audio off for the show because it said you were echoing, and usually that means I had the audio on the screen. It's not on my end. I just was double checking.
I'll bring the little mic up a little closer so maybe it's less echo. So she has been, and I'm proud of her, man, being chairman. And she set it off when police organizations went after Nike for sponsoring Kaepernick, and she shot out a letter defending Kaepernick, and it just went viral, and it was good to see a national conversation with black law enforcement dealing with the issues in our community. She's going to make it happen as chairman. So I'm really glad that she actually took the seat. She took the seat. So we're going to have in 2019 actual discussion. Like you got I see D. Wilson. she mentioned, issues here right in Westchester. Look, you got Mike Hannon. Here's a black officer that was hit in the back with a chair from the White Plains Deputy Chief of Police. Right? No criminal charges against her, no suspension, no violation of not only departmental policy, but just city code of conduct. Right? You have Joseph Spezio, no violation of nothing. Not one letter from the union. Even after I showed them violations in their own policies, nothing has happened. So why pay your union dues? And it's not just about keeping a job. It's about integrity and dignity. So if you don't even have that, so what's the point of paying union dues? So we're gonna have this conversation in 2019. And the other thing is, I don't know why black people are so hung up with this First Step Act that Congress passed, and it's supposed to be a model or a first step for actually criminal justice reform. But it's bogus. As I say, it's more symbolism than substance, and it just redirects 325. I'm not sure if million. I got to pull it up, but it redirects money right back to the private prisons. So under our noses, what the private prisons have done is that they started buying halfway homes, rehabilitation centers. And so this bill is $375 million expansion of post-prison services, right? Which is also hooked up with the Koch industries. So yeah, the Koch industries. So they're behind this first step, the First Step Act that was passed, and everybody, and Jared Kushner is one of the cheerleaders, But this is nothing. It's only going to help 180,000 inmates allegedly, right? When there's 2.1 million people incarcerated in the United States. So it's really not going to do much, but it's also redirecting money straight to the private prison industries. So organizations that are on the street that actually do work in transforming people's lives, that get out of prison back in society, will never see this money. Will never see this money. A lot of times our prison reform activists or criminal justice activists and people, they get bamboozled because they get a law, but they don't understand the political ramifications and the political process behind it and the lobbying, the people that lobby behind it. So they said that Core Civic is one of the largest private prisons contractors in New York. They spent $840,000 in lobbying. The other company, the GEO Group, spent $1.2 million in lobbying in 2018. So this is what it's all about. It's just going back to the private industries. It's going back to Trump's friends that have donated to the Republican Party, that have donated, that spent all this money lobbying, and probably bought rooms in his hotel. And then we got people like Van Jones on CNN talking about this is a great deal. This is not a good deal. This is the same old that we get caught up in. So, just like Governor Cuomo's executive order on the special prosecutor.
Yeah.
Right? That was more symbolism without substance. But then you had all these mothers, of people that have been killed by police standing up with him when he signed this executive order. But that's what it is. Once he's not once he's not governor, it's over. So that should be a conversation, since now that the Democrats run the Senate and the Assembly to actually pass a special prosecutor bill in New York State. So, and not just having the New York State Attorney General being a special prosecutor, have a special prosecutor appointed for each shooting, each incident. So you have fresh eyes on each time that we have a questionable police shooting in the state of New York. I mean, these are the things that we have to address in 2019, because we control the House. I mean, we control the Assembly and we control the Senate, and we have an alleged Democratic governor. So, and also...
Tell us how you really feel.
Well, I mean, it is what it is, man. I mean, it is what it is. So he's gonna go the way the wind blows. He has no choice at this point. Because his trump card was the IDC, to keep balance, to keep control. But since that's gone, he has to be a real Democrat for at least 2 years until the next 2 elections. So he has to be a real Democrat now. So I'm saying, let's get what the hell we could get out of it. Let's get these pieces of legislation, real criminal justice reform, not just something that ain't worth the paper that it's written on, or we have a politician just put something together like that damn social media background check with just to have something to say when it's press time. We don't need that, especially we don't need that for black politicians. We need real pieces of legislation that's going to stand on its own, not something just to be a soundbite, and to get through a newscast just to have something to say. No, we can't have that no more, man, because our communities are suffering, in the state of New York and all over. We need real pieces of legislation that's going to go through, especially in criminal justice. That's all I got to say about it.
All right, there you go. Shout out to Donna Gill, who just tuned in. Bob, follow up? Anything you just said?
Yeah, I'm quite honestly, although I did see the headlines announcing the enactment of the bill, I had not, I don't know anything about the details of the bill, but what Dee says isn't at all surprising. It's a shell game, right? Essentially, what we give them with one hand, we taking away with the other, and while sentencing reform is long overdue, Dee is absolutely right that if we maintain a structure of incentives for private corporations and their partners in the public sector to continue to lock people up, then we're really not going to have any substantive reforms, and we'll just continue to have people locked up in private prisons instead of public prisons. So, we got to move beyond just appearances and really address some of the more substantive matters. And one of the substantive matters at issue in the whole expansion of the prison industrial complex is that it pays. It pays some private corporations an immense amount of money to keep people in the United States locked up, largely men of color, but not exclusively. And until we do away with that kind of system of perverse incentives, we're going to continue to see record numbers of people being incarcerated in the United States of America, despite the fact that it likes to proclaim itself as the land of the free.
Huh.
It's,
home of the slave. I mean the brave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so changing subject real quick. So, Damon brought up, we talked about the midterm elections. I want to ask both of y'all on a national level and in New York State. Like with New York State, we got the governor is a Democrat, we got the House, we got the Senate, and we got the Assembly. On the national level, now we have a Democratic House that's supposed to be able to offer checks and balances and oversight to the president. What do you foresee in 2019 in both of these, locally and nationally?
How about you, Damon?
Well, I see a bunch of bullshit. That's what I see in 2019. It's more bullshit, man. Listen, they can only do so much, right, with the house.
Right.
They can only do so much, and they're already failing now. You know, I mean, Trump has already flipped it. That the death of these, the death of the two children is the Democrats' fault, right? The reason why the government's going to shut down is the Democrats' fault, right? And they still ain't even pushing back hard enough to remind the American people that the Republicans controlled the House and the Senate. If Trump wants,
Supreme Court.
well, not even. I'm just talking legislation. The House and the Senate. If they wanted the money for the fucking wall, they should have got it by now, right? So I mean, to sit here and sit here and listen to CNN and listen to MSNBC, and they go back and forth. The key thing is, if he wanted the money, he should have got it by now, right? So now you're going to get in, and it's going to be, people ain't going to be thinking about whose fault it is when they're not getting a paycheck next week, right? They just going to think about all y'all MFers is no good. And Trump knows that. Trump knows that. Nobody's going to care, you know, what party the person is when they're not getting a paycheck. That's not even an issue, you know. So it's like, and then what? They're gonna try to impeach him. They're gonna do all this nonsense that is, you know, the government still ain't gonna do work, right? Nothing. The only thing that has happened, right, in the first 2 years of Trump is just the rich got richer. That's about it. But that's what he planned. That's what he set out to do. That's what he set out to do. And really, we want to shut down the government because of the war, you know. But everything Obama is negated, right? Because remember, all the immigrant activists and immigration organizations used to call Obama the deporter in chief. But then all of a sudden, Trump gets in. He's weak on immigration. Dude, he was kicking immigrants out left and right. And that's the Obama administration. But all that's forgotten, and the Democrats is weak on immigration, and the Democrats is this, and the Democrats is that. Come on, it's just going to be a whole bunch of more bullshit and pointing fingers. It's going to run just like Mount Vernon. Everybody pointing fingers and ain't shit getting done. Same. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Everybody pointing fingers and ain't nothing getting done. You know, and Russia is just taking over the Middle East, right? They're gonna control the Middle East. You got Israel now sitting down with Putin. Netanyahu is sitting down with Putin. So that's where the power's at. It's not over here anymore.
Putin just sent Trump a big Christmas greeting, thanking him for his support, and he's looking forward to continually working together in the future. And yeah.
Let me tell you something, man. What Russia has done to the United States is the chickens coming home to roost. How many governments has the United States disabled, right? Over the decades. It's the chickens coming home to roost. There's a book everybody should get. It's called The Economic Hitman. The Economic Hitman. And it goes into how the United States uses money to buy these governments' loyalty. And then they put them in debt and yada, 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 yada. And there's another book, I can't remember the name, but it was the book that Cesar Chavez from Venezuela, former president of Venezuela, held up at the UN And it went into how the United States destabilized South America and all that. But dude, it's chicken. I mean, they've done their dirt. They've done their dirt. So I mean, we can't be surprised that it was going to come back and haunt us in America. You know, and you're dealing with Putin, who's a ex-KGB agent, so he knows all the tricks. He knows all the tricks. You know, and then you got NAACP talking about boycotting Facebook because of these pages. How can the NAACP get mad that a Russian blacktivist makes a page called Blacktivist and he got more followers than the NAACP?
Or Black Lives Matter.
Let me offer up some. Hey, even though Damon is absolutely correct, the record of U.S. intervention and meddling in other nations governments is beyond dispute. It is a very ugly record that, not surprisingly, has prompted political elites in other nations to respond in kind. The real issue is that ordinary American citizens now find themselves in the crosshair of competition between national elites here in the United States and those abroad. While that kind of conflict and the tactics that Russia is resorting to may be understandable, it does not mean that it is in the interest of ordinary citizens to simply write it off as a kind of predictable response. Precisely because Russia's actions essentially have sought to strengthen the most right-wing forces here in the United States that are the open, avowed enemy of black people. And should this relationship be further consolidated and strengthened, and we have more instability here at home in the United States, you better believe that those forces will be looking to draw on the assistance that Russia offers to only further do harm to the black community. Whether that's through weakening our ability to mobilize in votes and operate in our interests, or whether it's to foment more open acts of civil unrest. Now, I want to be very clear about this. Black people have there's a concept of enlightened self-interest, not just merely self-interest, but enlightened self-interest. And I think that we as a people must, in talking about the kind of political choices that are before us in the near term, we have to talk about what's in our enlightened self-interest. Yes, it is the case that the Democratic Party mainstream has continuously taken the vote of black people for granted and very often offered up nothing in return. However, the call for increasing competition, political competition, merely by throwing our weight behind Republicans or sitting out elections altogether, I think is highly misguided, especially at a time when you see the mobilization of right-wing forces all across the United States, who, should they be elected to office, are most certainly, A, going to adopt policies that hurt black people. The architect, Damon's example was Damon's criticism of the crime reform bill that has just passed is a great example of this. Black people being offered up symbolic kind of political advances when you begin to peel back and take a closer look, you will wonder whether or not black people are benefiting from these kind of policies. So I think black people have to start thinking about what's going on in our nation in terms of our enlightened self-interest. And I, for one, do not take the view that we should be unconcerned or can afford to write off a lot of the transformation that we've seen in our national politics, and specifically how it relates to what's going on in the international scene. Russia's involvement in the politics of the black community go back to the very beginning of the 20th century. I was rather puzzled when I heard a commentator on CNN who should have known better, or MSNBC. As a matter of fact, it's his brother, I forgot his name, Jason. He's a professor of political science. He mentioned that Russia was involved in black politics in the 1960s. And yeah, that's true, but Russia has been engaged in using active measures in the black community in the 20th century since the 1920s forward, when communism and socialism becomes a major ideological school within the black community. So we need to be very clear that, and Russia in the past has deliberately tried to use conflicts between blacks and whites in the United States for its geopolitical advantage. I'll just cite one example from the late 1930s is the decision of Russia to enter into a non-aggression pact with Germany, Nazi Germany, just as it is beginning to annex other territories. And essentially, that's what Donald Trump is, the essential position that the Trump administration, at least, is trying to adopt, that we're a high degree of tolerance for expansionist policies in Russia that would destabilize the international order in ways that are not in the interest of black people here in the United States or abroad, for that matter, in my judgment. But just as importantly, we need to be aware that this is, in fact, a part of the playbook of certain kind of conservative, mostly Republican politicians here in the United States, and also their Russian counterparts abroad. So I'm very concerned, and I take the position that everything counts, that we need to be fighting tooth and nail right now. That's where we're at.
And while I agree with both of y'all, I don't think he's saying not to be concerned. Mm-hmm. I think he's just saying, though, and I do agree that this is the point, the expression "chickens coming home to roost." Like this is a self-inflicted wound that this country is facing because of all the stuff that it's done. But we are right to be concerned because, I mean,
right. The question is
both points. I don't think both points are
mutually
this
exclusive
one or this one. I think both of y'all are saying it's two different sides of the same thing, and I agree with both.
Those chickens are coming home to roost. The question is, how many of the eggs do we actually want to see hatch?
Yeah, exactly. but check this out. Not only that, we don't control no institutions. You know, and that's look. If everything shuts down, right? Every ethnic group has to go into their corner for a certain amount of time. We're going our corner with literally nothing. Nothing but Nikes, Gucci,
red bottoms,
and red bottoms. Right? We don't go in our corner with no institutions. Right? We don't go in our corner with barely no banks. You know, no hotels, no gas stations. We don't go in our corner with anything. Right? So how do we survive? You know, and that's I think that's the picture that, you know, black leadership, black politicians, like nobody's looking at. You know, because if everybody has to go in their corner, we go in our corner with literally nothing. With literally nothing. You know, and we don't even have proper relationships with our motherland. Like every other ethnic group, they have relationships with their home country, right? The Italians have relationships with Italy. The Jews have relationships with Israel. The Irish have relationships with Ireland. We have no real relationship with Africa or no country within Africa, you know, that we could trade with or go back and forth if we have to go back in our corners. You know, and that's something that we really need to start talking about. I know there's a lot of people doing a lot of good things to try to make that happen. You know, definitely Dr. Daniels, the Pan-African
Unity Dialogue.
Unity Dialogue, and you know, and it's beautiful to see, you know, representatives from all these beautiful black African countries come to these meetings. You know, but on the whole, but how long will that take? You know, and that's just a small percentage of black people that's in America, man. So
you know what? Real quick to interrupt you, in that aspect of what you're talking about the home country, Hispanics got that over us because they have identity with Puerto Rico or Mexico or I mean, they actually have that over us as well.
No, exactly. Even, right, even Hispanic, I mean, they
Bob's eyebrows are raising, so I know he's about to say, what's up, Bob?
I didn't say anything.
Oh no, just the eyebrows raising. The eyebrows raising, so I knew there was a.
I'm just listening.
I was like, So Cicely Grieve said she liked that enlightened self-interest. That's very important for the survival of all.
Yeah, but we're scared. We're scared to talk about that. I mean, black people are scared to talk about self-interest. Right? We are scared. We're scared to be labeled too black. We're scared to be labeled radical. Like these are the labels that you get, right? When you talk about black interests, right? I was reading a book.
That or anti everything else.
Exactly. I'm trying to find this book that I was listening to on Audible. And the guy, hold on a second, where the hell is this book at? It's called Striving While Black. Kwame Salter. Very good book. You can get it on Audible. And the book is only an hour read, right? He said something that was very unique in the book. So basically, the book was written for young black men how to navigate through corporate America, because he did so many years in human resources, I think, at one of these big firms. So he says something unique. He says, white people are only white people when the black person is in the room. He says when the black person is not in the room, you have an Irish man sitting at the table, you have an Italian man sitting at the table, you have whatever other white Anglo-Saxon sitting at the table. But when the black man sits at the table, they all become white because they connect to their commonality. Their commonality is their skin, their whiteness. This is what he says in the book. So I say that to say this, is that when we sit at the table, we don't sit with our interests. See, they sit at and then their interest is their commonality of being white. But we still don't look at that and say, well, our commonality is being black. We need to come together as being black people. We don't do that. We don't do that as black people. We still fight each other. We still do a bunch of Negro stuff. We don't do it, man. Like when do we get to that point as black people? When do we get to that point? Because we're just always scared of being ourselves. You can't get around it. When you come in the room, they know that you're black because you're just scared. You can't get around it, right? You can't hide and say, you know what? I'm a white man. And they be like, yeah, really? You know? Other ethnic groups can hide that. You know? Even Hispanics, they can hide it.
Yeah, there are a lot of Hispanics. There's a group of Hispanics that look damn near white. If they don't speak, you would not know that they're Hispanic.
Exactly. I know some Hispanics at my job. They cut their hair and shave their hair, cut their hair in certain ways and walk around like they're Italian. I'm like, dude, you're Spanish.
Cicely Grieve said, I'm really enjoying Damon's reflections, so on point. And then she said, the truth is the truth.
Yeah, there was this officer, true story. This officer, he's Hispanic. And they thought that he was Italian. And they invited him to all out dinners.
You told me. Go ahead.
Invited him to his house. Yo, he tells the story too, and he's open with it. Right, so he's like, oh man, you know what? This is great. I'm one of the guys. You know what I'm saying? Not thinking the race thing, just thinking, this is we all brothers in blue type stuff, right? Then Rose is like, yo, man, why you ain't tell me you wasn't Italian? He's like, dude, you ain't never asked. You lied to me. You tricked me. He was like, I ain't never. He's like, it never came up. But see, that's what they do, bro. That's what they do. You know, that's what they do. We don't do that. You know.
I want to offer up some thoughts in response. I think black people have a tendency to overstate the amount of solidarity that other ethnic groups actually have between them. And I think that's important for us to note, because I think when we do so, we're not really grappling with one of the fundamental problems that afflicts our society, and that is the conflict of interest between capitalists and workers of all colors. We need to bear this in mind, because the reality is that today a significant number of the white population here in the United States and across the globe now finds itself economically pulverized, precisely because of the normal operations of capitalism itself. So the kind of identity, the kind of solidarity that Damon notes amongst members of the boardroom when a person of color is in there may not be absent if one of their counterparts is a member of the white working class itself. And the reason why I start out with that particular comment is because implied in many of our discussions about the need for black solidarity is a model of economic development that is essentially just black capitalism. We too often want to substitute white capitalists for black capitalists and think that we're going to get some sort of different result. Black America suffers as much from from the normal, ordinary workings of capitalism as it does from institutional discrimination. If institutional racism was eliminated, one would conclude that the best black people could hope for would be to have the same conditions as our white working class counterparts. And lots of them are fucked up right now. And so if we're going to have a serious conversation about creating new forms of freedom in the black community, then we're going to have to go beyond just acting in racial solidarity with one another. We're going to have to really wrestle with the problem of capitalism and its limitations. And that's why, I guess that's what the raised eyebrows were for, because this is a conversation that we've been having for decades. It's about basically a century now. We take the new Negro movement, starts in right after World War I, 1917 or so, 18, the long red hot summers of 1919 or so. This is a debate that and discussion we've been having for a century now. And I am not optimistic that we're yet really willing to really grapple with the economic dimension fully.
Let me just say one thing. I got both of what both y'all are saying, but there are a lot. The poorest. The point is the poorest. There's a lot. The lowest of white people think that they're still better than the best of the black people. There's a group of people. That's why they vote against their interests. They think that this stuff includes them. They said Lyndon B. Johnson said, if you can convince the lowest white man that he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. That's the thing. And that's the thing. They a lot of these. Dave Chappelle was talking about it in one of his skits. He was talking about. He went to, he voted in the election for Obama. He said, you could tell by the parking lot, the mood. He was like, you knew Obama was going to win. And he was talking about voting in the 2016 presidential election. Here's a big difference. He said you saw all kinds of, he's being funny, all kinds of tractors and stuff and big pickup trucks and all these white hillbilly type dudes. And all of these poor white people repeating all the stuff that Trump was saying, like he's for me. And David Chappelle was like, you stupid individuals, y'all ain't got no money. I benefit more from the stuff he's saying than you do. Like, y'all don't benefit none of this. He don't care nothing about y'all. But that's why they vote against their interests, because this rules that they are still better than black people.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, look, I use that example because at the end of the day, when we come into the room, no matter where we are, they rally around their whiteness. Trump, why are they voting for Trump, right? Why are they voting for Trump? He doesn't represent anything.
He's trying to break up the unions and take
right. He doesn't represent anything poor white people need. But they vote for him because he taps into their whiteness. And this is just real. He taps into their whiteness. There's one of the speeches of Martin Luther King Jr., right? And he's telling the story about how they went into one of the jails, and to visit, I guess, some protest or whatever. And in the break time, where they was bringing one group of people out and bringing another group of people in, Martin King says he started talking to one of the correction guards in the jail, right? And then he found out how much money he made. He told the guard, "You need to be marching with us." Like, really? But because of the fact that he was white, right? He accepted that, and that the black people were the problem for him not making that much money. So they still gather around their whiteness, even though they're at the bottom. Even though they're at the bottom, and they're the most victims of capitalism. They're most victims of capitalism. So I mean,
I also want to say.
And your point, but what's your point, Damon? What is the conclusion that you draw from this?
The conclusion I draw from this is that I'm not trying to, and I saw what Jeff said. I'm never trying to replace.
I'm going to read all of that. Yeah.
Right. I'm never trying to talk about replacing black capitalism, over white capitalism. I mean, that doesn't work. But when do we at this point recognize and do for self? We still haven't done for self. Even if we got to the point of having black capitalism, right? We haven't even got to the point of owning anything, owning an institution.
Right, but I just want to say,
we haven't got to the point of that.
I want to say, and kind of what Bob was talking about. I just want to use an example, like in the music business, right? A lot of artists, in the early days, they got taken advantage of. They took advantage of the artists and stuff. But when the black artists became the black executives, they did the same thing. They took advantage of the black artists worse than the white man was doing. You know what I'm saying? So we are, in that example, I'm agreeing with you. We are. I see what both of y'all are saying, but I agree. We the people that are in place sometimes are. Listen. In Mount Vernon, in the city of Mount Vernon, and a couple of comments real quick. Jeff was like, this radical gets no love in Mount Vernon political circles. I don't either, for the most part. And he said, thank you, Bob, for black capitalists was ever going to work. Garvey would have been able to defend against the sellout by Negroes like Wormley and the rest of them. And he got a link to the story. And so if black interests were so appealing in Mount Vernon, I wanted to talk. Mount Vernon is a city that is almost like a black government. We have a black mayor.
Hold on. Yo, Jeff, I have to totally, Jeff, Delia Farquharson is the chair over public safety, right? The bill has been passed, as you know, for the Civilian Complaint Review Board. So she can move on appointing people on the Civilian Complaint Review Board. It's done. It was done before. It was worked on before Delia, as you know. With everything that's going on with the issues of the police department, she should have an actual investigation herself. of the police department as being chair over that. Now, you say she provides support of elected precinct council-based system that hires, fires, disciplines cops. There's something that's called a collective bargaining agreement, which she can't do that. She can't do that unless she's going to sit down and negotiate that through the collective bargaining agreement. She could say that, it sounds nice, but it's something that's called a contract. So she has to look into the contract and see what is the proper way of disciplining and doing all that. She has to go, that has to be negotiated. She can say all she wants, but that's going to have to sit down and negotiate it with the PBA. I mean, it sounds good, but it's just symbolism. There ain't no substance to it until you sit down, because that's going to have to be negotiated through the contract. And the police department, hold on. The police department has policies and procedures in place now. The problem is, she got to find out why they're not disciplining nobody. How about that? How about that?
He said the bill isn't passed. It's just a draft of legislation. Ask Clerk Brown.
Okay, well, at the end of the day, there's a policies, procedures that are already in place. The question is, why haven't they did anything with those policies and procedures that's already in place? It's a whole big ass manual of violations. They didn't have no problem suspending my teacher on the violations for 9 months. Right? They have no problem suspending her on some bullshit for 9 months. So why are they not doing it to nobody else? Because they're there. They're there. There's even a policy that says a deputy commissioner cannot retaliate against a subordinate because their affiliation politically, organizationally, or personally. Ain't nobody bring him up on charges. It's in the policy. I'll send you the copy. So everything is there. Just nobody's doing nothing. Nobody's doing nothing with it. So even if you don't have the Civilian Complaint Review Board, you still have policies. You still have a contract, collective bargaining agreement. You still have all that there. You still have state laws that supersede the collective bargaining agreement. You still have city code of conduct that supersedes the collective bargaining agreement. So, I mean, why haven't nobody used it?
Well, according to state law, he can't even hold a law enforcement position, period.
Exactly. And why is he still there?
According to state law, you have to be a resident of New York State. You have to have New York State residence. And he put for proof of identity his Florida driver's license.
And that's in testimony. You have former police commissioner Robert Kelly's testimony submitted to a court. Ain't nobody act on it yet. Nobody called him in. Nobody called Kelly in and questioned on Spezio's ID. And he's still running around with lights and sirens on like he's a fucking deputy police commissioner.
I'm gonna
your comment, and then we're gonna end it.
Yeah, I wanna just interject. I think Brother Jeff's point is that one of the long-standing calls of the Black radical tradition has been greater communal autonomy, and all the institutions.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
The ability to operate independent of the will and opposition of another group or people. When you're autonomous, you're relatively free. It's the issue that Damon is raising, but Brother Jeff is noting that there's a call in the United States that says, hey, we've got to push democratic freedoms and power further down to people on the grassroots. And so far as we continue to avoid that, and we want to adopt the existing party structures and the existing legislative arrangements, then we're never really going to reach the point that we want to get at. So we got to call into question the very model itself. And that's what I'm also saying with respect to economic development. It's not going to be enough, and we're not having this conversation. We're not actually having a conversation in the Black community about how to obtain the goals that the Black freedom struggle set for us. Whichever wing, whether it's the nationalist wing, the socialist wing, or even the integrationist wing, the goals that is set for us, and one of them is political autonomy and economic independence, and we got to go beyond the status quo. And I think that's what I'm kind of getting at, that all this discussion, we're not really talking about moving beyond the status quo right now.
All right, we're gonna move because we got a few minutes left in the show, and we can continue this conversation for days. But while you're saying that, I mean, I'm hearing what both of y'all are saying, and he's saying we don't have no institution, and y'all are saying kind of the same thing on different perspectives and different ways of saying it. That's what I'm going to say. Y'all are more alike than different.
No, and I get that. But what I'm saying is, we're black people running the city.
That's where I was going.
Look, we're black people running the city, and we're making excuses, right, on why we're not governing the city, right, for black people. You know, when you have, no other city has a black city council and a black city mayor and a black police commissioner, but have police brutality in the police department. Like that shit is unheard of, man. So something's wrong with our own psyche as a black person.
Because we can't blame everything on the white
man.
We
can't blame nothing. We can't blame nothing on the white man, because it's not hurting. The white man ain't breaking into the goddamn house. The white man ain't business in our own way. Come on, man. That's not. Look. We're jerking our own responsibility. If you're an elected official, this is just my opinion, right? And you're in there, and you don't, and you can't correct something. And this is my whole argument with Johanna. When he was over the police department, I'm like, dude, you're over the police department. Then if you can't get it done, then pass legislation. But you can't tell me that the policies are already there. Judge Johnson, Nichelle Johnson, when she was corporate counsel for the city, she put together the code of ethics, right? When are we holding anybody to that? It's there. It's on the website. It's on the website. Like, everything's there, just nobody's doing anything about it. Everything's there. And then if you can't get it done, then write the state. Right? What? You asked Lisa Copeland for the letter to the governor, she never produced it. She talking about she hand-delivered the goddamn thing, like she a goddamn messenger. Right? She ain't sent no letter to no Cuomo. Right? Marcus Griffith was using council president. I'm like, dude, get Cuomo, get the state involved. They ain't do it, right? Now, if Farquharson is over the police department and all this stuff going on, she should be talking to the AG's office as well, or the DA's office. But guess what? They're talking to nobody, because I talk to the DA's office. Everybody just thinks this shit is going to go away. You're an elected official, you got to do a job. And if you don't want to do a job, don't have that position. And this is not directed to one person. This is directed to everybody. Because it's embarrassing. It's totally embarrassing. You have the power to change it. You are the legislative body. Legislate. There's no excuses. If it's the right thing that needs to be done, goddamn it, do it.
Absolutely, and I'm ending all of y'all right now because as always we get to the end of the show, and y'all want in the heated part of the conversation, and then we're not going to come to a completion in this show, and obviously and a lot of what y'all are saying a lot of the same thing, but from a different perspective. So I'm not like y'all are not actually arguing against each other. No, we're not arguing.
We're not arguing against each other. But my whole thing is, there's no excuse at this point.
No, and I agree. I agree. I mean,
there's no excuse. No matter what school of thought, we have black people in office that the majority of the city is black, that put these people in place, and it's a bunch of goddamn buffoonery going on from City Hall to all the way to that damn board of education. Come on, man. You gotta be kidding me. There's no excuse. Whether we think it should be this way or whether we think at the end of the day the right thing should be done. It should be done for the people.
Well, like I said,
I'm in full agreement with you.
Unlike the national model where it's a Democrat and the Democrats are fighting against the Republicans and the Republicans are saying the Democrats are holding them up and the Democrats are saying the Republicans won't let them do. We're all the Mount Vernon is all Democrat and it's black run. It's not black and white. It's not Democrat Republican. It's Negroes in Mount Vernon who are all Democrat who can't get together. So we can't even use that. We can't even use those traditional models. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can see the shift, the resistance between the Democrats and Republicans, and you can see all of that on the national level. You know, the Democrats couldn't stop the Republicans from doing stuff. The Democrats are not going to vote certain things that the Republicans want. But these are all Democrats, and they're all from the same city, and they're all black. And this is the only black-run municipality of the 43 municipalities of Westchester County, and is the worst of them.
Listen, it's the only totally black-run municipality outside of Africa. The next place
there might be some cities. There might be some other cities that got black government too.
Not like we do.
But for those who make that point from the outside of our community that you can't give them Negroes no power because all they have to do is point to Mount Vernon for an example of that image that they put out about us. All you have to do is point the dysfunction of the Mount Vernon government is all you have to point. Point to.
Here's another thing, is that you get into these elected positions and you have to work, right? It's not easy peasy as it would seem to be with the other administrations. You have outside forces that's going to make you work. Now, either you're going to work,
we need to move aside and let somebody else get in.
Or you need to allow other people that's going to get in, right? And actually do the work.
But the residents share their point, and I'm going to end it here.
And
they share their responsibility for not. I mean, they have a responsibility and they have a power that they're not using, and they're not staying informed, and they're not going to these meetings. They're not going to these school board meetings. They're not going to these city council meetings. They're not going to these county legislative meetings. Half of them don't know what's going on. When you try to explain it to them, you got to.
How many times?
Right. Because I get into these conversations. So many people don't know. They really don't know what's going on, and that's there's too many people with their head in the sand. I understand we all live it and we all trying to survive, but. Yo, we had Jeff said it's all love, Damon K. Jones. You know where I stand. So we have to step up. We keep looking for other people to fix our community. There's certain things we ourselves have to do, and that's one of the last show of the year. This is one of the last things that I'm going to say. Everybody has responsibility for their community. You get the government that you deserve and you voted for. Your circumstances are the way they are. Somewhat. Now, don't get me wrong. There are things and places to put in power to hold us back and to do some stuff. But a lot of our situation, not all, but there is a lot of our situation in the black and brown community that is self-inflicted. These are self-inflicted wounds that we are not taking care of, and we're not doing things that we need to do, and we're looking for other people. There's no one person. I mean, when Obama got in office, the one thing that he said is, everybody's looking at him because he's the first black president, and he was going to change all kinds of things for black people. He can't do it by himself. Can't no elected person do and fix all the things that need to be fixed by themselves. We all have a responsibility, and we all need to get involved. And if we just sit back and complain at the cookout and at the barbershop and at the other things, but we don't get involved, we don't go to these meetings, we don't make these people have town hall forums and explain to us what the hell they're talking about. And if we don't like what they say and we vote them out, or we utilize all the things that we have to utilize, then we have the government we deserve. And if you you are the change, and again, to quote Obama, but not because you're Obama, but it's true. You are the change you want to see. And I was saying this last night at a gathering I was at. All the accomplishments and all the strives and achievements that have been made for black people in the black community, ain't no white people, ain't no government give us that because it was the right damn thing to do. It was because they fought for it. On whatever level, they fought, they pushed back, they did something for it. They never gonna give us what we just because it's the right thing to do. They make money off these situations. They live off these situations. They survive on keeping us the way it is. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to want to change that. And then, you know, the more we get paid equal wages and all that other stuff, that's less money in their pocket. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to just give it to us. If you want it, you have to fight for it. Freedom is not free. What are you going to do going to 2019? That's the question. You are the change that you want to see. We can continue to complain about what we don't have, and we will continue not to have. We can continue to complain about a system that doesn't support us and whatever, and we can continue to have that. But what are you going to do about it? Bob kept saying, what is the answer? What are you going to do about it? What are you willing to do about it, to do for it? Because freedom is not free, and people are not going to give it to you because it is just the right thing to do. And that's what the last word on the last show of the year from People Before Politics. We thank everybody for tuning in. We thank all the people. I can get to all your comments. Someone just said another enjoyable show. You guys, thank you. Jeff said F Obama, LOL. And I agree, like, yo, it's not, I love Obama and it's anti-Trump. There's a lot of things I was very critical about of Obama. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's it doesn't matter who's there. But it's what are you going to do going into the future? What are you willing to do? What are you what are you willing to do for what you want? And that's what we all need to think about going into this next year. Especially because we are at some crazy times with that man that's in power right now and all the forces that fought very hard for years for him to be there, to do the things that are being done. Yo, we all need to wake the fuck up.
Listen,
it's not with school days. Wake up!
Listen, we're not dealing with weak-kneed Negroes in 2019.
All right, real quick, that's it.
I got my ace bandages around my knees, D.
Yo, Happy New Year's to everybody. Y'all could all be doing something else, but y'all decided to ride with us, and we greatly appreciate this. This is Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show every Sunday, 6 to 8 on InTheMixRadio.com, giving you real talk for the community since 2014. We will be back next year, blacker and stronger than ever.
Absolutely.
Until then, Damon, peace.
Peace.
Oh, it'd be good if I put the intro in right now, right?
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare.